Good morning, it's Rachel here. So I am just wanting to make a video about where I was last week, because I got to go to the self-publishing show live down in London, which is a authors conference hosted by the guys at the self-publishing show, Mark Dawson, James Blatch and John Dyer. It was a 2-day event. It was really amazing, and it's my first author conference I've ever got to go to, so I was super excited to be there. And I just wanted to talk about what went on because it was really good. So if you're ever thinking of going one yourself, I really recommend it. It's not just for authors who have, I don't know, made it, I suppose is the wrong word, but you know, who are doing this as full-time. It's for every kind of author, from the ones right at the beginning, still writing their very first book, to the ones who are making millions every year. It's just something for everybody, and I had such a good time, and I was so glad I went, and I came away feeling completely motivated and inspired with my writing. I was going to do this as a vlog style video, and I started it, and some of the footage that I'll share was from me doing that vlog, but the day was just so busy that I never really got a chance to stop. It was a 2 days, so it was on the Tuesday and the Wednesday, and on the Tuesday, so that finished at 5, and then we went to get something to eat, and then there was an after party, and by the time I got back to my hotel room it was like midnight, and I'd had a bit to drink, and there was just no chance to kind of give you a recap of the day and how it had gone. But yeah, here's some bits of footage from just walking around the crowd. It's so amazing. Hey, so it's a voiceover editing Rachel here. So it kind of got chopped together on this bit, and I'd recorded the vlog footage and then come back home and recorded a recap of it. So it kind of jumps a little bit, and I'm really sorry for that, but here is all the footage that I recorded as a vlog, and I'll be back in a few minutes to show you to talk about the actual conference and what went on. So I hope you enjoy this vlog footage, and my apologies that it didn't go according to plan this time, but I will try it again. Hi, it's Monday morning, so this week I'm going to try and do my very first no one's done anything for a couple of years, so I'm super excited to be going to this and just hanging around with other writers and stuff like that. So we're heading out there, well, we're heading down to London later on today. We're going to drive up because the conference is not till tomorrow, so we've got all day. It's about a 4-hour drive to get to London from where we are in the north. Yeah, so I thought I'd do a vlog, or try and do a vlog, and just share that experience with you and practice my vlogging skills, because I've never done one before. So I'm sorry if it's going to be a bit hiddly-piddly, or, you know, it's not that great, but it's my first, so, you know, just bear with me. So we've got the itinerary for the SPS Live show, and it looks really exciting. So registration opens at 8 o'clock, but Mark Dawson and James Blatch, if you know them from the self-publishing show on YouTube and their podcast, obviously it's their show, they're going to run it, so they're going to do a welcome, and I think that's at 9:15. I have seen Mark Dawson before when I went to some book thing in London, but it wasn't anything like this. This is actually my first writers conference. So yeah, so they're going to open it, and I couldn't tell you the schedule of speakers off the top of my head, but I do know that the sisters who write the Zodiac Academy are going to be there. So I think that's it, Caroline Peckham and I can't remember, Suzanne Valentini, perhaps, is that their names. They're going to have the first talk, so I'm really interested in listening to them, because I have read the first Zodiac Academy book, and that was really cool. And I just, if you see anybody who makes it, they make it on Amazon, with the, they show you what's possible in the indie world. Excuse me, having my coffee. So I'm looking forward to hearing them speak. I believe there is Lucy Score. I think she's a romance writer. She's there. Joanna Penn is there. I'm super excited to hear her talk. I listened to the Creative Pen. She has that. Well, she has two podcasts actually. I think she has a Books and Travel, and then the Creative Pen podcast for writers, which comes out on a Monday. So I'm excited to hear her speak. I think there's Nick Stevenson. I think he's the guy who did the Your First 1000 Readers. So that'd be really cool. There's just going to be loads of people to learn from, and inspiration, and meeting other writers, because I don't really know other writers. I went to a meetup last month in Manchester, and Craig Martell, if you don't know who he is, he's one of the guys that runs the 20 books to 50k groups with Michael Anderley. Michael Anderley's actually going to be at this conference, but Craig came over to do like a train tour through the UK, and he was stopping off at various cities and meeting up with writers in the area, and I got to meet him, and he was amazing. He was so lovely, and all the people that I got to meet there, so it was other writers that are in the Northwest like me, and they were so great to meet as well. And it was just really nice to meet some people whose faces I'd seen on social media, but I'd never really interacted with them or had, and I don't know, it was just great to meet people like that. So I'm looking forward to that again. I think there's just something about being around your people. So I'm gonna check in and record bits here and there. I'm probably not going to be able to record at the actual conference, because one, I don't know what the rules are for recording there, and two, it's not really the done thing to record people without their permission, so you might get some feet shots perhaps, or something like that, or some general shots. But I'll do a recap and talk about what I've learned and stuff like that, and I'm so excited for this whole experience. But before I do that, because we don't have to go until this afternoon, I'm going to go try and get a couple of 1,000 words written, and then I'm going to pack, because in our house we are the typical last minute packers and stuff, so nothing's done. So I shall check in with you later. like 20 to 11 at night. It was a long drive, but we set off late and stopped for something to eat on the way because there's no rush because we're staying for the night and then the conference starts tomorrow. So yeah, I'm super excited. So we've got the lineup now for tomorrow, and it's on my phone. So tomorrow it starts off with obviously Mark Dawson, but then it's going to be Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. I think that's how you pronounce the name. And like I said, they are the sisters who write the Zodiac Academy, and who I think they're going to be talking about maybe BookTok and using that, because I think they got to like #1 in the whole Kindle store using BookTok, so that'll be really fun to see what we can learn from them. Next after that is going to be Nick Stevenson, and he's going to be talking about your first 10,000 readers and then building your email list for a launch, so that'll be really cool to do that. The next one is, after that, is Joanna Penn, who does the Creative Penn podcast, and she's going to be talking about the creator economy. And I hope she talks about multiple streams of income, because I really love that topic that she talks about on her podcast. And she's just going to be really great to learn from. I've been listening to her for a few years now. And we've got a guy called Mark who's going to be doing some non-fiction, writing a non-fiction bestseller. I don't so much have a non-fiction book out, but it'll still be useful, so I'm looking forward to that. Then we've got Stuart Blatch doing book covers from start to finish. Now I have seen a little bit of that in Mark Dawson's, I think it's in his 101 course, but yeah, that'll be really cool. Not that I make my own covers, but I suppose it'll help with when looking to shop around to buy covers. Then we've got Janet Margot, and she's going to talk about Amazon ads targeting and how to keywords for your ads and all that goes into that, which is really cool, because I've played with the AMS ads, but they've never really done me any favours, so it's more likely I've lost money. So I'm gonna look forward to listening to that. I'm gonna make sure to take notebook and lots of notes and stuff like that. And then we're going to meet Darren Hardy from KDP. I've met him before. There was like an Amazon thing a few years ago that we went to. It was really just for newbie authors back then, just to say hi. So I've met him before, but he's always really good to listen to. He talks about KDP. But that's the conference on tomorrow. And then when all that's finished, we've got like an after party. And I suppose it's just networking, so that'll be really cool to meet lots of people who live in the UK like me, and just chat to them and hopefully make some friends. So yeah, so that's it for me today. It's just getting ready, travelling and getting here, and obviously tomorrow I will have more to say. On the way down here I did do a little bit of writing. I probably got like 1,000 words in the car. So I kind of just sat with the laptop on my legs, but that was alright. Kind of make the trip go a bit faster. Anyway, I am off to bed, so I shall see you all tomorrow. And I hope you enjoy this vlog and I don't mess it up too much. See you later. I find one of the things of being a writer is when someone says to me, "What do you do for a living?" and I kind of stutter and then say I'm a writer, because I don't know, it's not that I'm ashamed of it, it's just that it's so different to everybody else. So it's hard to say it, and then people's questions, oh, are you published, where's your book, and they want to go and look you up, and it kind of makes me feel self-conscious. But in this place, it wasn't like that, because everybody is a writer of some kind, and so people's question were always, what genre do you write in? How many books do you have published? And things like that. And there was just this genuine joy and understanding of what it is to be a writer and an author. So, you know, for that alone, it was so great. But on the first day, obviously it opened with Mark Dawson and James Blatch introducing everybody, and James Blatch came on dressed as a fighter pilot, which was really funny, because he had his new book released that day, and he writes aviation thrillers, I think. I'm sorry if I've got that wrong. But yeah, so that was cool. But the first presentation that came on was an interview with the two sisters, Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. I think that's pronounced her surname correctly. So they write said they write 9 different series, but most people probably know them for the Zodiac Academy, which is a fantasy romance bully reverse harem story. I've not really read it. And they really took off about 3 years ago. So it was an interview about them and how they did it. And, you know, watching them, it just shows you that anybody can do this from any walk of life. They didn't know what they wanted to do with their lives. They were working for their parents in the parents' cattery that they owned, and then they both started just writing together, and it took off. Obviously it wasn't luck and just that simple. There was a lot of hard work goes into that. They were talking about how, you know, they're writing for like 17-hour days and things like that. But it was just really cool to watch somebody who's got that far into the author career and has that kind of experience. It was just really good to listen to them, and it was like they were real people. So you sit there, look at them and think, well, they can do it, I can do this, and it's possible. But it was just an interview with them. They weren't like trying to teach anything. The next speaker was meant to be Nick Stevenson, talking about email lists, but sadly he broke his leg, so he wasn't able to attend. So James Blatch came on and did a presentation on using TikTok for as one of your author platforms. And it was really cool to watch him talking about the different trends. He was going through like what other authors do, the tips and tricks. And he was showing, so he has success on TikTok. And like I say, I think he writes aviation thrillers, but he was like, a lot of people will think that TikTok will only work if you write either romance or fantasy, but he doesn't write that, and he has success on there. And what he was trying to say is that your niche is on there, whatever it is. And there's so many ways you can do TikTok. You know, if you're not into getting on the screen and dancing, there's so many, you know, people do page flips, they do voiceovers to other videos. And so it was really good to see that TikTok can be used for any author, or by any author, no matter how they like to put themselves out there. The next speaker that came on was Joanna Penn, and I was really excited to see her. And she has the podcast The Creative Pen. She also has the podcast Books and Travel, and I've listened to her for some years, so it was really good to just like be there and listen to her speaking. And she was so enthusiastic about everything she was talking about. She brought this energy to the place that you could just feel. And she was talking a lot about the future stuff. If you listen to her, she absolutely loves future things that are coming up. So she was talking about AI narrated audiobooks, which Google Play is at the moment offers free AI narrated audiobooks. I've not explored it myself, but it's on my list to check out. She was also showing us how you can use AI generated images, and she sees the future that's going to bring the AI narration and all that AI stuff in there. So she was talking about that. She was talking about the creator economy and how, you know, it's there for us. You know, it's the time for the creative economy, and there's just so many opportunities to do so many things. So she was talking a lot about how people now launch their books differently. So instead of putting them straight on Amazon, they use other platforms as a way to try and get more of the royalties off those die-hard fans of yours who want the book straight away. So if you followed Brandon Sanderson or the author world at the moment recently, you'll know that he launched a Kickstarter for 4 books that he wrote during the pandemic and managed to raise something like 41 million on Kickstarter alone, and he's got that money in his pocket, and then he's going to put those books on Amazon, so he's going to like sell them again to more readers. So Joanna Penn was talking about this kind of strategy, and she was saying how she puts them on her site. I know people that put them onto like Patreon and stuff, so that was just a really interesting idea on how you can get your books out there, but you can earn the money from what you've written, because that's the goal of publishing the book, is to earn the money and get the readers from it. So that was really interesting. She was also talking about how to grow your author career, it's not about just more books. It's about changing your author mindset, and that you are not just a writer. As an indie author, sure, we write the books, but it isn't just about writing books and churning them out constantly. You are a business person. So, and you have to treat your whole thing as a business. So she was talking about being an authorpreneur is what she calls it. I'm not sure if she coined that term, but she's where I heard it from. But it's authors need to get into that mindset of you are a business person, you are running a business, and the books are part of that business, but so is where you sell your books, where they're distributed, where you get your covers, your editing, and all this stuff that goes into it. They're all part of the business. The speaker after Joanna was a German guy called Mark Reclus. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, so I'm really sorry if I've got it wrong. It probably isn't, because it's a German surname. But he is a non-fiction author, and a lot of people think it's really hard to make it as a non-fiction author, and he was showing us his journey and how he made it. I think he was originally living on a boat, and he's written these non-fiction books. I think one of them is called 30 Days. It's basically changing your life habits in 30 days, and he has gone from earning nothing to earning thousands every month with his books. So he was talking about that journey and how it's the marketing side of it got him to do that, and how he knuckled down. And this is what Joanna was saying, it's the business side. So it wasn't just him writing his non-fiction book, because anybody could do that. You could write it, you could put it on the book outlet stores, but it's about getting your books out there, marketing. And he was just talking about his journey to get his books to where they are and making it with non-fiction. So if you ever get the chance to watch one of his talks, he's amazing. He's so lively and just shares his journey with you. And one of the things I took away from that is this fear of money that people have, especially authors. It's almost as if it's a dirty word, not a dirty word, but it's a shameful thing to want to earn money from your art, because no, you have to be this struggling artist who earns no money and it's doing it purely for the passion. And what he was saying is no, everybody needs money and everybody wants money, and if you can get that money from your art, then do it. And one of the things I love what he said is that the being happy is something inside. And he said if you are happy with $1,000, then you will just be more happy with $10,000. But someone who is miserable with $1,000 will still be miserable with $10,000. And so he was talking a lot about healing that ideology we all have about money and art, and how if we try and link them together, it's this awful thing and we're really bad and we're selling our art out. And it isn't that. It's okay to want to make money with your art. The next person that we saw was Stuart Bache. And he is a cover artist. So basically he came on stage and he created a cover right in front of us. Obviously the screen shared his laptop onto the big screen and showed us how he made a thriller cover. And talking about the points to consider when doing your cover, things like having them fit the market. So I've seen books that don't fit, and a cover is your first advert, regardless of that saying don't judge a book by its cover. We do. And as a reader, I will often only pick a book up because I saw that cover, and it's what brought me to it, because there's a certain style of cover that subconsciously we know to look for in the genre we write. Like if you lined up a load of book covers, you would know that's probably a fantasy book, that's probably a thriller book. And so what Stuart Bache was saying was that covers are not just there to be pretty and have the author's name and the title on them. They're also there as an advert. And so when a reader or potential reader is scrolling, they need to be able to spot those covers. And a lot of people, I know I do it, will stop on a book that looks like a genre that they enjoy. So, like, for example, these ones. So this, this is a fantasy book. It's going to be kind of a paranormal romance book. This one, by looking at it, it's going to be kind of a thriller, some psychological thriller, maybe crime book. There's going to be some kind of mystery in that. And then you've got this book by Coraline by Neil Gaiman. And it's going to be a fantasy kind of book, but it's going to be different to this kind of fantasy book. So, this is what Stuart Bache was saying, that your covers need to represent your book, the genre, it's got to tell a whole lot from just the picture, what's in the book, what the readers can expect. So, yeah, so he did this cover for this author on stage, and they were writing a crime thriller, but the cover they had originally said more of like an occult witchcraft kind of story, which it wasn't. I think it was an espionage kind of story. So he completely redid the cover and changed it, and you could see at a glance that that picture told a whole story about what that book was going to be about. He had a really interesting presentation. Next up was Janet Margot, and she was talking about Amazon ads, or the AMS ads as we all know them. Now, I believe she does a course in Mark Dawson's Ads for Authors. I believe that she is the one teaching the Amazon Ads for Authors, and she used to work for Amazon advertising. I know she used to work within Amazon, so I'm sorry if I got that wrong. She was giving a whole talk on how to use Amazon ads, because a lot of people report that Amazon ads don't work and Facebook ads don't work. There's not much to say about her presentation, because it was a lot of data and a lot of figures, and it was just like an eye-opener into what's possible with the Amazon ads. So I have Mark Dawson's Ads for Authors, so I'm going to go and have a look at her course and see if I can get our Amazon ads switched on, because we've always found that they don't work. But from what she was saying is we're looking at the wrong metrics. Janet was saying that there's like a 14-day delay. So if you have someone buys your book, you're probably not going to see that book purchased for another 2 weeks. So it doesn't mean that the reporting's wrong, it just means that there's a delay, and you need to kind of run them for like a month to kind of see any effect from your Amazon ads. So yeah, so I'm going to go and check that out. So that was kind of it for day one. We had a panel with the guys from Amazon KDP. If you use Amazon KDP, there's nothing much to say that there was new, that they were telling us. What they did say, somebody asked them about Kindle Vella and if it would be coming to the UK, and they said there's no plans for it at the moment. So I'm not sure if we're ever going to get that. And then somebody also asked the question of them, is anyone monitoring this whole readers refunding books and treating Amazon like a library? And they said they're monitoring it. So they're aware that that's happening as well. So they were the two take-homes from the Amazon panel. But other than that, it was just really talking about how authors can publish their books on Amazon KDP. But if you're already an author, you know how to do that anyway. So yeah, there wasn't much to say. So the second day started off the same as the first one. We had an interview with an author. So the author we had this time was Lucy Score. And at the time of this conference, she was #1 in the whole of the Amazon store with her book, Things We Never Got Over. She's a romance author. She was telling the story about how she had been working full-time, writing on the side, and her bosses found out she was a writer, and then she miraculously ended up fired, and so it was kind of a sink or swim kind of thing for her. And she published her books out. She worked on her marketing, on lots of different things. I will link, there's an interview with her on the Mark Dawson podcast that I listened to. I think she's been on a couple of times, but the last one was really, really good. I'll link that down below for you. And that she was just talking about her whole journey and how the author business is not just writing books. It's, the whole thing. She has her husband helping her. They refer to him as Mr. Lucy. She's employing her brother. I believe she was going to start employing her sister. So there's when you write your first book, it's like the book, you put the book onto Amazon and that grows, but then so does everything else within your business that you've got to do. She was talking about her fan base, you know, looking after them because they're such an integral part of being an author. And she was just, the take-home message from her is you can make it super big, but it's not a flash in the pan thing. It's not one of those like, it's just going to happen just because you sit there and wait for it and, you know, ask the universe for it. It's hard work. And you have to put the work in to get to where she is, and she has put the work in. And it was just such an amazing interview to listen to. And one of the things I did like from her is that she says she puts about 25% of the revenue back into her marketing, which I think is a really good strategy, because if you put the 25% in and next month your royalties are higher, then you put another 25% in, you're putting more in. So it's kind of like a snowball effect. So, you know, link that with Janet Margot's talk on the Amazon ads, and when we play with the Amazon ads, it's going to give us a budget of 25, you know, we'll work on a budget of 25% of the revenue we already get and see if we can build it from there. Yeah, so next up we had Alex Newton, and I know that's not his actual surname, he's got a German surname, but I'm sure I read it as Alex Newton somewhere. So he's from the K-Lytics website. He's not an author, I don't believe, but he does analyse Amazon data. He has a website called K-Lytics where you can buy these reports, and it's for, you can see what's trending, categories to put your books into, the genres that are working and all that lot. So one of the really good things that he talked about was the share of Kindle books sales wise. So he listed indie authors, the big 5 traditional publishers, other traditional publishers, and then Amazon imprint. And of the market share, the indies have 39%, and they're actually at the top because the big 5 traditional companies have 32% share. So according to the statistics, the indie authors are the ones rocking it. And he was saying that this is the books that are ranked on Amazon between 1 and 50,000. So they're the ones getting the sales. And he was saying that like literally one sale could boost you up the charts. There was a lot of good motivational speaking for him. He was talking about which genres are doing better. So according to his report, the genre that's doing the best at the moment is the dark romance, shifter, fantasy books. They seem to be doing really well. Romance is always at the top because people just love romance. He was talking about don't undersell your books, and that the properly priced books are the ones that sell better than the people doing like the 99-cent deal and stuff like that. I believe he also has a talk on Mark Dawson's podcast, so I can link that down too if I find it. But go and check out his website. It's a lot of data and statistics on the ranks of Amazon books and the genres that work. So that was just what he was talking about to us, and it was really cool. The next we had was Susie K. Quinn, and she was talking about the 5 tips to writing a bestseller. And when she says a bestseller, she doesn't mean getting that little orange flag on Amazon. What she's talking about is that that book sold 100,000 copies. That's what classes a book as a bestseller. Well, she was giving us these 5 tips, and they were really handy. So the first one that she said is she gave us 5 tips to writing a bestseller, so things to think about when you're writing your book. So the first one that she said is writing to a pre-made audience. So what she means with this is like you're going to be writing to the audience of the people who love friends to lovers romance trope. So you're writing to that audience. The people who like British crime, you're going to write to that audience. So you have to tailor your book correctly to that audience. One of the main things, this was my favourite one, is they have a really strong 1-sentence premise. So this is summing your book up in 1 sentence. So you've got Harry Potter is a little boy who found out he was a wizard. If you look at Dexter, he's a serial killer who works for the police. Our premise line for our first book was 2 bodies walk out of a morgue. It's this line that creates the interest for your readers to want to pick that book up. One of my favourite ones, and I bought this book just because of this line, was What's scary, and I'm probably going to misquote it, but what's scarier than your neighbours being murdered is finding out the killer's got the wrong house. I bought that book just off that one-line premise, and it was a great book, but I didn't need the cover, I didn't read the blurb, I just bought that book because that sentence was fantastic. So she talked about sending a clear message to your readers, so this touched on the Stuart Bache thing, sorry for murdering his surname. Don't try and be fancy when you're telling your readers what the book is about. Harry Potter is about a little boy who finds out he's a wizard, and that is at the baseline of it all, what that book is about. He's this wizard and there's this whole world. Don't try and be vague and mystic about it, because that will just put readers off. Straight to the point with what it is. She touched on the covers and saying straight to show the potential readers what that cover is, what the genre is. Don't try and hide all this, because people, if they know what they're reading, it makes them want to read it. You're not giving away spoilers, you're not giving away the ending, but you are telling the readers exactly what this book is. So her fourth tip was based on the write what you know, but not really write what you know. She said it's actually write what you're good at and write what you enjoy writing. And the other one she said, number 5, was that bestsellers build over time. You can get the odd one that comes out and it goes boom and it's number 1 and it sells millions of copies, but the best-selling books tend to build up over time. So next up was Hayley Williams, and she was from Pro Writing Aid, and she was talking about editing your novel and getting the words correct, and she was going through some tips to help everybody do their edits on their books before it's actually sent off to an editor, because obviously you should edit it before it goes off to an actual editor. One of the biggest things she was saying is that clarity is one of the biggest parts of storytelling, and to not worry too much about writing big poetic words, but more to stick to a simple language that tells a story. It's the focus on the story you're telling, and rather than trying to make the prose look all poetic, which I thought was really cool. And I think Stephen King in his On Writing book says something similar, that instead of just describing something as crimson, just describe it as red. It's so much simpler, and you're not trying to be clever with your words, you're just trying to tell the readers a story. She talked, obviously this was more of a sales pitch, but she talked a lot about how Pro Writing Aid can help you with your edits. So she was talking about not using passive voice, not using sticky sentences, how to change your sentences to more active prose. And it was just simple changes that when she was demonstrating them, they just made so much sense. So she also gave 5 tips for making your storytelling clearer and giving it more clarity. So the first one she said was to make the subject the star of your sentence. So rather than using passive voice, like the box was held by Jane, just use Jane held the box. So it's looking through your manuscript to remove any passive words and turning them into more active words. The second one was to reduce glue words, change them more to working words. And when I say change it to working words, it's things like David wondered if his favourite chocolate bar was on sale. You could change that to David went into the store and checked the price of the chocolate bar, something like that. It's being more direct with your way of talking. The third tip was to use powerful verbs. So instead of somebody started walking, they walked. Instead of somebody ran very quickly, they sprinted or dashed. So it's removing things like very and hugely and all those words we use to describe other words when there is a simple word. Instead of saying somebody spoke very quietly, somebody whispered. It's so much more powerful in your prose. Another tip she had was that your target reading age should be the 7th grade, so I believe that's about age 12. Not because you're trying to write for 12-year-olds, but because it's simple enough language that it tells a good story, but it's not babyish and juvenile. And I thought that was a really good tip, because obviously you're not writing academic papers, you're writing books for fiction and fun, and someone can just lie back in bed and just enjoy the story and see it in their head. So there's no need to be clever. Her 5th tip was choose specific words and don't try to be vague. And this was what I said before about talking all around the houses and stuff like that. So they were just really good tips. But she was obviously talking about Pro Writing Aid and about what the product could do to make our words better. I actually was using Grammarly until I went to this conference, and I've switched over to Pro Writing Aid, and it's pretty cool. Then Michael Enderley came on. If you don't know who he is the guy that started the 20 books to 50k group. When he wrote his first book, he was trying to work out how many books he would need to write to hit $50,000 a year for retirement. And he figured if he wrote 20 books and sold them at a specific amount, I think it was like $7 each a day, and then that would get him his 50,000 a year so that he could retire. But he wasn't really teaching anything. He was coming on with a more inspirational talk to get us all motivated for writing, and it was just so good to see him, because obviously I've seen him and Craig Martell, and I'm part of the 20 Books 50k Facebook group, and it's just such a great place to be. So he came on just talking about writing, being passionate about it, and enjoying yourself with it. It was just a really good talk. I'd love to see him in a proper presentation giving his advice on what he's learned, because obviously he's now a 7-figure author, so he's just amazing to learn from. We then had Rachel Morton. Now she writes British crime fiction, and she was talking about how she's gone from like earning $300 a month to thousands a month, and her strategy. She was mostly talking about how she's trained Amazon to recommend her books, and how she was learning Facebook marketing, Amazon ads and BookBub ads. And that was really good. And she was talking about Amazon ads, and she said something that really clicked with me. So most people, when they start marketing, they will start at a low amount and they will slowly scale it up. But what she was saying with Amazon ads is to do the exact opposite of that, and start it big and then scale it down, because if you start on the low numbers, you're teaching Amazon to not show your books to people. So start big and then scale it down. And I thought that was a really good tip. So when I take Jane Margot's course, I'm going to keep that in mind and see how I can work it. She was also talking a bit about changing genre and finding her place. And she was talking about her book, the 5 Books to Author Success, which is, I believe, is on Amazon. I'm not sure if it's on KU or if it's wide. But she has talked about how she got from the bottom to where she is now, being a working writer with this as her sole job. So that's a really interesting book. I've got that, so I'm going to have a read of that and see what I can learn from her, because she was really inspirational as well. God, I mean, everybody was just so inspirational there, and you know, you came away feeling so empowered. And she was actually the last author to give a presentation. They then had a panel of different authors who have quit their 9-to-5. I can't really remember the name, so you have to forgive me. There was Benedict Brown, Meg Jolly. Oh my gosh, there was like 6 of them. They ranged in what they were writing. There was cozy mysteries. There was a couple of British crime authors. There was one lady who wrote witchy stories, and they were basically just sharing their story of how they got from having that full-time job and writing in the background to being able to quit that background, to be able to quit that full-time job and then go into the full-time author career. And they didn't say anything new that anyone else had said, but they just reaffirmed everything, that it's hard work, but it's fun hard work, and keep focused and keep going and learn as you go. Learn from the people who are ahead of you. You're not in competition with anybody else, just yourself. And I think of all the people from everyone I listen to, the one thing that I would take away from that is the principle of making it is that you need to write a lot, publish often, and market. And when I say write a lot, I'm not talking write a book a month and publish. You could be writing and publishing a book once a year, because you will train your readers that you publish once a year. But it's being consistent, and it's keeping writing every day, or every writing day, because some people write 5 days a week. It's keep putting those books out, but then it's learning to market, because you've got to get those books in front of people. And that, you know, they were the foundation things that I took away from this. I hope you enjoyed this. If you ever get the chance to go to a writing conference, the SPS live show again in 2023, the 20 Books conference, and I'm not sure what the other ones are. And you can go. I would go, because it was so good to be with people who do the same thing as me. It was good to talk to them, to chat to them. It was good to listen to these people that are obviously ahead in the game to me. It was like I came away, or should I say we came away with so many ideas and so many things we're going to do. And Mason and I were talking about doing, Mason is my co-author, a podcast together, talking about productivity and writing, because obviously we both absolutely love productivity, and I love all the planners and he loves the productivity stuff. So that was something that came from that, and we've been outlining a a productive writer book and journal from this, so that's really exciting to do that. And one of the things they said at the end of this is, you know, next year it'll be different authors on the stage on that final panel, and these are just authors like me and you, and it could be any of us. And so in the group, the SPS group, there's so many people talking who's going to be on the stage next year, and everyone was just kind of pumped to do it. So it's amazing. If you ever get the chance, I really suggest that you go. But I'm going to leave that here. I've got loads of new things I'm going to work on, and this channel is obviously one of those. I just need to be more consistent on that. And but Mason and I have sat down, we've worked things out that we're going to do, and yeah, I hope this was good and informative for you, and I will see you next time, and have a fantastic week. Enjoy your writing. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified next time I post a video. But for now, see you later.